we're having this conversation 30-some years later after it happened. This is all the evidence that we collected. This case had a grip on the whole community. This case was almost an addiction for every officer that worked on it. All of them wanted closure. All of them. Hundreds of people volunteered their time to look for her back in 1980, and looked in the lake and looked along the riverbanks and looked in the woods. Gina Hall was never found. I realized there is nobody looking for this girl. Nobody. This is someone's sister, daughter, best friend. She deserves somebody to be looking for her. The goal is to find her.
Selena, who is that?
My beautiful baby sister. It was her senior picture in high school. And she's just so beautiful in it. You can see the light in her cheeks. You see it in her face, the goodness. The summer of 1980 changed my life. I was 21 years old. Gina Hall was my 18-year-old little sister. I was working on my master's, and she had just transferred to this university, and we had just moved in together. Gina and I were opposite. I was the bullheaded, hard-nosed, tomboy girl. She was the beautiful, angelic, sweet person. We had had midterm exams, and it was time to just let her hair down because we had a couple of days, and we planned to go dancing. I couldn't go with her because my boyfriend of 3.5 years and I had a fight. And I was very upset, and she left and came barreling back inside because she forgot her ankle bracelet, which we both had the same ankle bracelet with 2 hearts interlocked for our sisterly love. I was sitting in the living room floor just bawling my little eyes out like a big old baby. And she came back and said, "Sis, just follow your heart, not your head, and you'll know what to do." And that was the last verbally face-to-face words that she said to me. And so she went on without me because we didn't think anything of it. The phone woke me up. Hello? And in my dazed sleep, not thinking anything could really be wrong, I heard this voice just say, "Delana? Gina? Where are you?" And she said, "I'm at the lake." And I thought, what in the world is she doing at a lake? I mean, maybe she met some friends and went with them. Well, who are you with? And she had one word, Steve. And then the phone clicked dead.
Gina? Hello?
I thought I could probably just fall back asleep and she'll just come on home. Anyhow, she never did. I woke up and she wasn't there. When I woke up, I thought back that morning about her phone call. What was she trying to tell me? Who's Steve? I don't know a Steve. Gina doesn't know a Steve. We don't have a Steve in our life. Who is Steve? I knew immediately it's not good. something was wrong. I literally began calling everyone I knew. My friends finally found the car abandoned on a road. What has happened to her? Where is she?
The car was found on a country road about 0.7 of a mile from the main highway that went from Pulaski County into the city of Radford. It was under a railroad trestle, an old one that crosses the New River, and it was just sitting there.
I talked to her last night. She went out dancing.
They had taken a statement from her as to the phone call that she received that night from Gina and the fact that Gina had not come back. And then finding the car, of course, something wasn't right. It clearly signaled that something was not right. One thing that was of interest is that the car seat, it was pushed all the way back. And Gina was just a little over 5 feet tall. There's no way that Gina would have driven with the car seat all the way back. She couldn't have reached the pedals. State trooper finds blood in the trunk of the car on the mat, quite a bit of blood. That's when we realize we've got a problem.
The actual place where the car had been abandoned, there's something about that road that was just very dark and eerie. You know, as young people, you ever ride down just a little ways and go, I'm not going that way. That's that road. And I remember standing there around the car, and I'm thinking, why here? How did she get, how did this car get here? We're still not connecting at that moment until the blood is found in the trunk that something bad has happened. I'm very hopeful still in that moment. The only thing that keeps you holding on to just the thought that maybe she was hurt, maybe she was, just put in that trunk somehow, but then she's free. She's made it and she's somewhere, just hurt. We needed to find Gina, and that was our objective. I knew that I needed to get the word out, and the radio station seemed the most logical place to try to get the word out. So I made that drive up there and convinced them to announce Gina and where she was last seen so that maybe someone knew something.
Bill King went to the police to tell them, here's what I know. I don't know if it's of any value to you or not, but here it is. He said that he and Epperly went for the purpose of maybe try to find some female companionship. Epperly, no doubt, would have been dressed nicely. I think that he would come across as very charming, nice looking. He would have been very impressive, I think, to most females that he would have approached. Bill King lived at this very nice 3-story home right on Claytor Lake. So that night, Epperly asked if he could get the key to the place. She believed he was a good guy and went with him back to that lake house. They got there somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning. They walked in the house, and his female friend saw Epperly coming out of the utility room, wiping his chest off, bare chest, with a blue towel, thinking that there might be some sexual relations. They decided to go around to the lake and get in and swim. And Not much longer after that, Epperly said, "We've got to go." And that's all he knows at that point. But Bill said they did not see Gina. He was just totally cooperative. Epperly acknowledged that he had been with Gina. He acknowledged that they had driven to the house on the lake. He acknowledged that they went inside. He said that they made out a little bit, that he tried to go further with her, but she was not interested. Eventually, they just got in the car. They drove back to Radford. They went to his house where she dropped him off, essentially. And that's the last he knew about it. The polygraph examiner asked Mr. Epperly, "Did you kill Gina Hall? Do you know where she is? Regarding Gina Hall, did you have anything to do with her disappearance?" Steve Epperly failed the polygraph. Again, it just made you wonder what was going on. Where was Gina?
I knew Stephen Epperly since 1965, and I was married to his sister. He could be one of the nicest, kindest, politest human beings you'd ever want to meet. And then we could be sitting talking like you are, and anything could set him off at any time, and he would just go berserk. One of the stories, we were sitting at the Sunday dinner table at Epperly's house, everybody just talking, in general conversation about everything, and somebody said something to Steve. He just jumped up and turned the whole table over. And you didn't know even what you said to provoke him. He was just like that, and I would sit and wonder, well, what makes him do this? I don't pretend to understand how you can go from here to here and that. I don't know what happens in his mind. So nice, so cordial, so caring. You first meet him, you think he's a super guy. And only later you find out that guy's the devil.
Who is that?
That's the devil. I can tell with the eyes and the look on his face, he's pissed at somebody. He had that look a lot when he went off. I knew that look real well. He's a very violent person when he goes off. He's very, very violent. Don't kid yourself. He's just a violent human being. He's crazy. To my knowledge, best of my knowledge, he broke his sister's arm. He busted his mother's right eardrum. He knocked his 80-year-old grandmother down the steps. My wife showed out several times with black eyes where he had hit her. I just got fed up with him beating on her. And I went down there with a gun, and I was actually aimed to kill him then, because I had had it with him. I'm a good person. I'm a Christian. I'll give you the shirt off my back if you need me. I'll do anything in the world for you that I can to help you. But if you cross me and you really put the screws to me, I'll cut your throat with no remorse. And I don't care who knows. I've lived by that all my life, same way my father did. I pulled up in front of the house. Here he came walking out, huffing and puffing. I knew he was going to jump on me. So when he got to the car, I just stuck a gun to it, and I said, "Steve, I'll kill you." I just cocked it and I said, "Oh boy, you lay one finger on your last, I'm going to kill you." And I told him then, I said, "If you ever beat my wife again, I'm going to kill you." And he didn't after that. And I do thank the Lord I didn't have to kill him. But there's times I do wish I had.
We pulled up on the back side of the house, on the lakeside, where there's 2 sets of sliding glass doors. That's when State Trooper pointed out the blood stain in the carpet to me. I think it's about this size, maybe of a dinner plate. It was sort of dark. It was on shag carpet. The bloodstain was sort of matted down and swirled. It just looked like somebody tried to rub it up. We started just looking around at everything, and then we found blood on a couple of other things. I remember in a downstairs bathroom, there was just a small piece of blood on the frame around the light switch. It was just a handful of items there where it had specks of blood or a little splatter of blood. All of that combined told us without a doubt there was physical evidence of a violent attack there. It's pretty hard not to draw a conclusion that there was a homicide. This is sort of a den that we are on the bottom level, and there's a staircase that goes up to the 2nd floor. And at the very bottom of the staircase was a broken ankle bracelet. And it had a couple of joined hearts on it. The ankle bracelet was Gina's. That clearly indicated that Gina had been there.
And this was the hardest day of my life. This is taken from down at the lake edge, looking up. And I'm looking at this house. To me, it looks like a luxury home. You know, it looks like a beautiful, picturesque home. And I just could not imagine how my sister could have been murdered in that house. We're at the lake house with people everywhere, policemen everywhere. I'm standing down near the lake, and I stood there with my boyfriend looking at it, and I realized that's when it hit me. Gina's not coming home. Gina's not ever coming home. She died right here. I knew it. I felt this, I don't know if it's a sisterly bond or what, but I felt her pain. Realizing how brave she was. That if there were blood here and there was blood there, how brave, how hard did Gina fight? You can't stop that movie from playing in your head when you know the details of what is in that lake house. You can't make it go away. All you see is that beautiful little sister of yours fighting for her life. That's when I said I should have been with her. How did this happen? You know? If I had been with her, that wouldn't have happened. I just knew it. And I just broke. I mean, it just broke me. It was a point where I couldn't deal with it. Had to leave. You know. That trip driving from there home was the most horrific thing I've ever experienced personally. because I knew she was gone. And not just gone in the manner that she was gone. I literally screamed to God that entire ride out the window. My body shook, and because I knew she was never coming home. Never.
We had plenty of solid circumstantial evidence that pointed to one person and one person only, and that was Steve Epperly. The only thing we were missing was the body. In Virginia at that time, there had never been a conviction for a murder without a body. We've got to make sure you have enough evidence to convict him. And you have the fact that he's with her that night, the fact that there's some bloodstains in the house, which is very incriminating, but you don't have anything that's really concrete. The blue towel was found in a tree, and that was in the area on the Radford side of the river. What was found on the blue towel became very, very incriminating. The analyst told me that he scraped the blue towel down and literally got like double handful of carpet fibers from that towel. And those carpet fibers matched the ones from the den, the shag carpet in the lake house. So we theorized that he went to the carpet, got that blue towel, tried to wipe it all up as best he could. I think every stitch of clothing she had on, including her underwear, was found on the same side of the river and in the brushy area as the towel, and down the right side of her white jacket were bloodstains. Further indication of a violent attack. There was also a head hair in the clothes. The lab analyst was able to say that it matched the characteristics, color, and so forth of Mr. Epperly's hair. Really, to me, it was like a jigsaw with one fairly sizable piece missing in the center. That's her body, but everything else was there.
In 2007 at Radford, we just finished a murder trial. And at the end of the trial, my boss came up to me and he said, "Now go find Gina Hall." And in my mind, I said, "Who's Gina Hall?" I was not familiar with the case. So a few days later, I went to the records room and found what little information we had as far as the case file on Gina Hall. And I just found out that it's a tragedy that nobody's looking for this girl, because somebody should be. There's so many rumors and theories and ideas. You just got to investigate the best you can. This guy calls the office and he talks to one of my dispatchers and said, "Look, I need to talk to your boss. I don't know who it is, but I've got information on a Gene Hall." I'm like, "Okay." So I call him. He's like, "It's going to sound really weird." I'm like, "Okay, hit me with it, brother." And he's like, "I've been talking to Gene Hall." I said, "Gina?" He's like, "Yeah, a girl." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "So spiritually?" He said, "Yes." He said, "I'm a medium. I'm open to different ways to investigate, different ways to get leads." I said, "What information do you have?" He said, "I think I know where she's at."
This is the letter that I cherish the most because she wrote it months before she was murdered. She quoted Corinthians 13 to me, and it said in her own words, "Love is never glad about injustice, but rejoices when truth wins out." And then she signed it, "I love you, and I hope one day we both can live up to that paragraph." Months before she was murdered. This is my focus. This is what drives me. That stays by my vanity, and it hangs right by the mirror. And every day I see it. Every day.
The medium takes me to the Dedman Center at Radford University, which is their big athletic complex. And he describes to me what it looked like in 1980. He describes the clearing. Basically, it looks like a garden. She's in that clearing. Shows me where it's at. That's where she's at. We have this tremendous resource at Radford University, the ground penetrating radar. They come down, they scan, and says, "We found an anomaly." I'm like, "Do you think it's her or not?" And he said, "It would match size and shape of a small female." Freaking kidding me? I'm like, "What are we gonna do now?" He's like, "You and I are gonna go see the president of the university and get permission to dig." I was so excited. I just it felt right. You know, you've got the medium, whether you believe it or not. What he said was accurate, and the description he gave me matched the spot, that the anomaly, the science backed up the medium. We dug the hole. We got in the hole and he took his hat off and started wiping his head, and he's like, "I don't understand." And he said, "There's nothing here in this hole. There's no reason that we would have seen an anomaly on the radar. There's nothing to explain that. Nothing." He was baffled. I was heartbroken. I mean, I really thought we found her. And I got emotional, and I was just like, what do I do now? I knew it was just a dead end. It was heartbreaking, but there's no giving up.
Steve Epperly was a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think he's such egomaniac, a narcissist. I don't think Epperly really has a conscience at all. It was just a ho-hum experience for him. It was no big deal. Wasn't concerned at all, not in the least, because what can they do to me? They don't have a body. He's a monster, a very uncaring person. You have to say to yourself, what makes him tick? What's in his mind that he wouldn't mind just eliminating some 18-year-old college girl and then throwing her away like a piece of garbage? What was in his mind?
The phone rang. My wife answered it. She talked to her mother a long time. And she hung up. She said, "Mama told me this girl has disappeared, hadn't been seen and that Steve was the last known person with him. The atmosphere in Radford was, he didn't do it, because most of the people in Radford, the side of Steve they knew was a nice guy. You know, he put on this front that he was just a nice guy. Like most people said, he was a guy you'd invite home for Sunday dinner with your daughter. That's the image he played. They didn't know he ain't normal, I can tell you that, by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it was so odd that I never heard Steve say, I didn't kill Gina Hall. He never said that. All he ever said was, they can never get me. And I heard him say, as long as there's no body, they don't get me.
When the trial began, I was the first witness called. And that's the first time I'd seen Epperly. Ever. In a way, it's almost impossible to describe the emotion being put on a witness stand in the murder of someone you love very, very much. And then to look down there and see Stephen Epperly's face, to really see him for the first time. There is apparent to me, looking back, the arrogance and the confidence that was sitting there in front of me. He did not think for one moment that he would go to jail. Not one little bit.
I think he's a sick individual. I think he's narcissistic, little conscious, if any at all. I knew in my mind from everything that we had that he was the one and only suspect. He killed her. We just felt like Gina was taken there to that lake house. I think he was after sex. She rebuffed sexual advances, is our theory of the case. That angered him, and I think he started beating on her. And he killed her.
It was such relief, but it wasn't like a feeling of, yay, we won. We didn't have that feeling. We hadn't won. We got to go back home and have Christmas without Gina. We got to plan a funeral and we don't even have a body to put in the ground. I mean, this isn't over for us.
So when I went in, I said, here's what I want. I only want her. I don't want any details. I don't care how I find her. We can do it however you want to. And he thought about it and he said, I'm an innocent man. Everybody set me up. The judge, my lawyers, all those witnesses. I'm like, just stop. You look at those eyes, you don't see regret. You see the arrogance. That's what you see. That's a predator right there. And don't be deceived by his age. He would kill somebody today in a heartbeat if he got out. No doubt. When I look back, I didn't think there was much of a chance that he would give it up. And, knowing him as much as I learned about him, he feels like you can't find her. I'm still alive. I win. That's the personal part. There's no giving up. We didn't accomplish the goal. The goal's to find her. I'm still here. I'm still looking.
This is a very, very special picture because I had a study Bible that I'd put away in the closet and had not had out for 20 years. And I just opened it up one day, and there it was. It was probably taken a week before she was murdered. It would have been the last one. And it came right at the right moment to give me a sense of peace. It just was comforting. It was like a reminder. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. You know, we're in this together. That's what it said to me. The story that she left willingly, I always knew in my heart was not the truth. We didn't have Gina's body to actually lay to rest, so we never really knew exactly what happened to her so that we could heal and have full closure. We're just trying to heal.
She didn't deserve that. Sad. Very sad. She didn't deserve that, and I hope someday to meet her. And I hope she knows that we weren't all bad people.
When you meet Gina in heaven, what are you going to tell her?
I'm sorry. I wish I had been there to stop him. I'd have given my life for hers.
I haven't cried about it in a long time. So I thought that was like done with about crying, but it's not. I've buried it all up until this point. I guess when you start digging, it's going to dig up emotions because nothing about it is happy. Nothing. Maybe the beginning, but that is it. First time I met Chris was at a strip club in Memphis. I was an exotic dancer. I was drinking an appletini, just, hanging out with the friends. Then he introduced himself as Dr. Christopher Dench. He was very sure of himself. He was very charming. He could walk into the room and take over the whole room. And we hit it off pretty good and ended up going back to his house. He had his science award. He had his PhDs on the wall. And so when you see that, you're like, whoa, The disco ball was hanging in the corner of his office. First, I was like, why do you have a disco ball in your room? We drank a little bit, and then we were dancing under the disco ball in his office, listening to music. So I just thought this is a dream. Who wouldn't love this? Within that first week, I ended up pregnant. It was always something that I wanted was to become a mom. and have the family, you know, the normal, the house, the car, the family, you know, picture perfect. This is like fairy tale. It's something you hear about in the movies, you know, like the guy comes in, sweeps you off your feet, everything's going to change for the better. I think I just relied too much on that. And I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
I can't walk properly, can't write properly. I'm maybe 10% of the man I used to be. Maybe 10%. I've been a mechanic really since I was 17. I enjoyed what I did. Enjoyed the people I worked with. I made more than enough money to keep a roof over our head and food in our belly and clothes on our back and all that good stuff. After many years of the pain and finally coming to the conclusion that I had to do something about it, I went to my insurance carrier's website and found a neurosurgeon that was in network. And there was a nice write-up about Dr. Dunch, and I went to his website, and his website talked about all the great things he had done and how brilliant he was. And so I said, well, okay, let's give him a call and set up an appointment, and that's what I did.
My approach to patient care is I treat all patients non-surgically at first, if at all possible.
He was pleasant. He liked to describe everything he had done medically and how proud he was of himself. He seemed to, you know, a little arrogant, but I expected that from a neurosurgeon. He said it was a very common surgery to fix it. Hundreds, if not thousands of them are done every day without any problems. When you're in that much pain and somebody tells you that the surgery is going to take 100% of it away, you can't help but say, please, let's do this. When I get there, the nurses are taking all my vitals, getting the IV started. This was the first time I'd ever had surgery in my life. I was extremely nervous, extremely scared. The only thing I kept telling myself is, Jeff, quit being a baby, quit being a scaredy cat, whatever. But I still hadn't seen Dr. Dunch. He never came by to see me, and he didn't come in and see me before they put me to sleep, which I thought was strange. I really just remember staring up at the ceiling and praying. I was just praying, God, please let it go well. You know, guide his hands, make sure this turns out well.
I think of all of the cases that I've ever done, this one stays with me the most. The first time that the DA's office heard about the Dunch case was very early on. There actually had already been some civil lawsuits filed. They were trying to say, you know, what he's doing is criminal, he's hurting people, we need help stopping him.
And if it is, the negligence
we decided we needed to know every single patient that Dunch had operated on while he was in Dallas. He operated on 38 total patients. And as I began to look through their files, we realized, oh, wow, he has injured most of them. Ultimately, I think what I figured out is that 33 out of 38 patients were injured by Christopher Dunch. I don't think you can look at that number of 33 out of 38 patients being injured without being appalled by it, without being shocked. This is something that should at least be looked into, not ignored. It seems like there needs to be a real investigation done here.
When I met Chris, he swept me off my feet pretty much. It just was like unimaginable. It was more like a dream. I felt like he came in and he was like, everything that I didn't have before, like everything that I've always wanted would happen. I was very excited. It's going to be a great life. He loved it. He was excited. Who wouldn't be, though? It's like your whole world just opened up. You're out of grad school, going into one of the biggest hospitals in Dallas, Plano area. He was excited, very excited. When we first moved to Dallas and Chris started his job at the hospital, I would get up and make coffee for him to get him ready to go out the door. He was already up at like 5:30, going through files, going through charts, looking at x-rays. Chris's dreams was to become the best surgeon in Dallas. I thought, everything was going well for him. But once, he hired his nurse, everything changed. I'd never seen him, per se, party with the drugs. I didn't, see the alcohol. There were nights where him and the assistant would go out, and they wouldn't get home till 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes not at all. One night in particular, I remember being up kind of late and kind of upset with him. I looked out the window when they pulled into the drive. They're loud, they're drunk. And then I saw his assistant kiss Chris. And that's when I knew. I was really upset. He took me away from the world that I knew, the world I was comfortable in, put me in this new world, and then kind of like let me hang out there. I had nothing else that I could do. I was pregnant. I can't go back to my old life. I mean, what was I supposed to do?
Pain, 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 pain. When I woke up in recovery, I was in so much pain. I practically started crying. I was on the verge of tears, yes. It was a horrible pain. I was thinking I was going to die. I didn't know why the pain should be so rough until just a few minutes later when Dr. Dunch came in and he said, "Okay, Jeff, wiggle your toes." And I could only wiggle the toes on my left foot. I was like, God, that's not good. And he said, "Okay, wiggle your fingers." And so I noticed that I couldn't move my right hand. Oh my God, me. Am I bedridden for the rest of my life? How do I take care of my wife and kids? I remember being completely terrified and horrified of what my future life was going to be. See, at first, of course, I thought I was going to be going home. But now that I'm paralyzed from the neck down on my right side, I'm not going anywhere. I walked into this hospital and I never walked out.
I don't think we knew whether it was criminal or not. Is this just a malpractice kind of thing going on, or have we stepped into the realm of somebody who is maliciously hurting people? We looked into his background a little bit, and he had come out of the University of Tennessee, which is a very good school. He trained under one of the best physicians out there in spine surgery. He graduated with honors. His resume is fantastic. He did a lot of research. And so, on paper, he looks really good. Really makes you question more, how did we get where we're at?
So this doctor really highly recommend.
I think when you go meet with patients, it gives a sort of vulnerability for you and them where you begin to feel like you have a connection. You talk to one patient and that patient tells you about how they spend their entire days in a wheelchair. Another patient tells you about how his body has such a bad reaction to the things that Christopher Dunch did and the pain that he's suffering that his skin literally sheds itself. A lot of the patients he misdiagnosed what the problem was. And then once he gets into them, he doesn't know where he's at in their body. Or he wreaks some other kind of havoc when he's in there. He hits arteries, he cuts off nerves, he puts screws into places where they don't belong. The stories are heart-wrenching. And there were times where I'd be crying along with them because of the things that they had endured. That really began to weigh on me that this is much bigger than I had originally expected. Almost every single person that he puts under the knife, he is doing something wrong. And so it does make you question, was he doing this on purpose? Does he want to harm patients? Is he using this as a tool for some sort of pleasure that he's bringing himself? This is not just a doctor having bad days here and there. This is somebody who very serially is injuring people.
I've always trusted doctors. He had the PhD. I knew he was smart. I knew he was actually a neurosurgeon. And I assumed he would take his oath and do no harm. He told me that it was a bruising of the spinal cord. It's going to take it a while to, just the swelling to go down, but once it does, you're going to be 100%, just like you were. He told me it would take probably about 4 weeks. Approximately 4 weeks, I would be back to 100%. But every follow-up I went to, he added more time to it. Jeff, it's going to be 3 months. It was the 6th month after surgery before I realized this man has been dragging me along and lying to me. This man has done something seriously wrong, and he's been lying to me. That's what I felt. When I went to my 6-month follow-up, I said, I want all my records. I want my MRIs. I want my x-rays. I said, I've got to go see somebody for a second opinion. I said, you've been telling me, visit after visit, Jeff, you're going to be good by the next visit. And it never happens. Well, other people may say some bad things about these MRIs. I said, what? He got up to leave and he grabbed all the MRIs and x-rays and started to walk out with them. I mean, I was so shocked, I just immediately stood up as fast as I could, which isn't very fast, but I stood up as fast as I could and reached as far as I could, and I pulled them back and said, no, sir, those are mine. And he stepped back into the hallway, went out the door and left. On the way home, I'm nervous because of the way it ended. Because I knew that if he wanted those records back as bad as he did, there was probably something seriously wrong inside, and I needed to find out. At that point, I knew I had made a huge mistake. Pretty much knew I'd made a huge mistake.
He's like, what are they going to say in the medical society? You're pregnant, we're not married, you're a stripper, it'll make me look bad. I was like, I don't even know who you are. That's when I realized that I should be digging it a little bit more to find some answers. I want to know, what is it that I'm living in? I looked through like the computer history. I looked through the cell phone. That's when I found the email. My medical records were accessed from my OBGYN, and somebody requested my record to get me transferred to a hospital in Denver, which is where Chris's parents live. And then that's when I realized, oh, Chris is trying to send me to live with his parents so I can have a baby. And I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. Yeah, you're completely trying to move me out of the life you just gave me. I was disgusted and furious, and the more I dug, the more I found, the more I hated. I thought it was going to be a good life, but it wasn't.
He'd been able to get away with killing people. He'd been able to get away with making somebody a quadriplegic, and hadn't really suffered any consequences from any of that. How does somebody cause so much damage? That really became a big question. We saw that he kept moving from location to location. He was moving the hospitals that he was actually working and doing his surgeries at. We were able to figure out, well, he's getting kicked out of these hospitals. They won't let him, practice there anymore. Some of the stories that we heard were that he would show up and he would be sweating profusely and his eyes would be dilated. That maybe gave them some concerns about whether he was on any drugs at the time. Dunch himself had indicated that he used neurostimulants before surgeries, and of course that would be something like cocaine. There's no real way nationwide or worldwide to prevent somebody like this from just going somewhere else and continuing to practice. So the only way to do that was to give him a criminal conviction that anybody could see.
A few months later, I finally got to see another doctor, and he told me what had really happened inside. And I was devastated, to say the least. He said there's no surgery that can correct a torn spinal cord or cut open spinal cord. My heart fell to my stomach. I had no idea that my spinal cord had been cut. He literally brought it up on his computer and showed me where my spinal cord had been cut open. He said something to me that I have not forgotten to this day. He said, "I'm sorry, Jeff. You are what you are." I just couldn't believe it. I was heartbroken. I was scared again, because now I know that I'm not going to get back to 100%. I just felt like my world was coming to an end. And that's when I started crying. I cried right there in his office. He hung his head in shame. He said he was embarrassed that Dr. Dunch was in the same profession he was. And he also told me about how Dr. Dunch has many patients that have had bad outcomes. And he had already been trying to work on some patients to see if he could help them out. When I found that out, it literally sent shivers down my spine. My goosebumps came up on my arm. I said, this is not right. He should not have still been practicing when he got to me. So I was mad that there was this many people already hurt and that he was still allowed to be a neurosurgeon. It made me think that this was deliberate, that these weren't accidents. This is probably not malpractice. This is more than likely a sick, evil, twisted individual who somehow made it through med school.
When I arrived home after having my oldest son, all of my clothes from my master bedroom had been moved into the guest bedroom. I am feeling so many emotions at this time. I was angry. I was sad. I've been alienated from everyone that I've known, anything that I've known. I became totally dependent on him at this time. I'm in this situation. I don't really see how an easy out right now. I really don't. My world was just kind of falling apart. One of the days I was going to drive Chris to surgery, we go outside to find that our vehicle had been taken apart. There was no tires on it. The drive shaft had been broken. That freaked me out. I was like, why would somebody do that? He was pretty upset. He was like, I don't know who would have done this.
Hello?
Another incident, there was a phone call of someone saying something to the effect of, are you ready to die?
Excuse me?
I'm like, who is this? And I couldn't get them to give me their name. And I'm just like, what in the world is going on? This is out of control. Obviously, there's something going on. I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm sure it's going to reveal itself, and I don't want any part of it. I almost instantly got my stuff together and I moved out.
I had to tell my boss. I had to tell him the truth. I'd been telling him all along that I was going to be better, that my spinal cord was going to get better and I would be able to go back to work. So I just had to tell him the truth. I started crying. I said, that guy has been lying to me for 6 months. I said, I am what I am. I said, this is it. It's not going to get any better. I'm not going to be able to climb those ladders. I'm not going to be able to carry that 25-pound tool bag up and down those stairs. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do this. Well, it was terrible. It was the best job I ever had.
By the time he got to Mary Eford, he had just killed 2 people, and there were a couple of other patients where he knew he had hurt them. And so he would have known that he was going to hurt her and therefore never should have done the surgery at all. The day before, Dr. Dunch had operated on a different patient who was not doing well. She ended up having a stroke and wasn't getting enough blood to her brain. And so really, he should have been treating her. Instead, he decides to go into Mary Eford's surgery. He cut off one of her nerve roots. He put a screw through a different nerve, which caused her just excruciating pain. He also put the implant device in her muscle instead of the bone. He kept drilling over and over again. So there are multiple holes in her muscles. One doctor described it to me as trying to put screws into raw tuna. Everybody in the operating room was telling him that he did not have the device in the correct spot, and he wouldn't listen to them. None of these things should ever happen in a surgery, not in a surgeon's entire lifetime. Because it was an injury to an elderly, the jury would be able to consider all the way up to a life sentence. It was important to us that he never be able to operate again, and a life sentence, of course, would prevent that forever.
Basically, the reason you're here right now today, okay, is you have been charged with aggravated assault, okay, and one count of injury to elderly.
Yeah, I none of this was going on. I actually planned to bring all my documents to the DA directly.
Oh, did you?
And let him have everything so that they would have full disclosure, because I know exactly what's happened, and none of it is criminal.
Okay.
I know what they're alleging, and none of it's true. It's easy defendable.
I think his ego is large enough that he thought he could talk his way out of it. I don't think he was processing the fact that he was about to spend some quality time in the Dallas County Jail for these charges.
Let's talk about Jeffrey Cheney. Do you remember that surgery?
Yes. The surgery went fine, and there's no real explanation for why they happen in surgery. Part of the time, it's on his consent form. Mm-hmm. They expect that's possible. So I kept him in the hospital for 2 or 3 days, and then I put him in rehabilitation. He recovered 95% and he went back to work. Yeah, absolutely.
He seems to, in some ways, live in his own world, and that reality does not align with what actually had happened to the patients. The reality of it is that Mr. Cheney has had his spinal cord partially cut, and he can't feel half of his body, and that he's never going to be better.
He recovered very rapidly, got most of it back. He was able to go back to work and have a normal career.
I think he has mental health issues, right? I think he's a narcissist and probably a sociopath, unable to recognize that he was the one actually causing the damage. It was always everybody else's fault. And I think that's very scary. It's definitely not the kind of person that you want being a doctor, sticking, a scalpel into your back and opening you up.
Hello?
I hadn't heard until one of my girlfriends that I used to work with called me and was like, "Hey, are you okay? I heard your son's dad's on the news for abusing an elderly lady." I was just blown away. It all kind of came crashing to a reality. It was just very much of a shock. Chris very much kept me from the medical side as much as he could for as long as he could. I had no idea. I believe the phone call that we received that was a death threat was from a patient's family member. Looking back on it, I'm thinking maybe somebody did it to keep him from going to surgery.
So this is an email that Christopher Dunch had written. Anyone close to me thinks that I'm likely something between God, Einstein, and the Antichrist. Later on, he says, "You, my child, are the only one between me and the other side. I'm ready to leave the love and kindness and goodness and patience that I mix with everything else that I am and become a cold-blooded killer." I think when he says that he's a cold-blooded killer, what he's trying to convey here is that he's the kind of person who can do anything that he wants. And that's kind of what his behavior was. He began to do whatever he felt like, ignoring any of the consequences. We ultimately decided that this was just more information for the jury to consider.
I did not believe for a minute that they were really going to be able to pull this off. I was pretty sure he was going to walk. It doesn't bother him at all. He did not look disturbed one bit. I'm sure he still thought he was going to wind up walking on it. Sure, he didn't think he would be the first guy in Texas or possibly the United States to be busted for what he did in the operating room.
We, the jury, having found the defendant, Christopher Daniel Dunch, guilty of injury to an elderly individual as charged in the indictment.
It wasn't until that jury came back in with the verdict that I felt good about the whole situation. Guilty. And you're like, oh, okay. We're finally seeing justice. And I'm sure all those other families are feeling the same way.
I've always wondered what the motivation is here. I think that there are a lot of factors that played into it. I think he was very greedy and had big dreams in his head of, how much money he was going to make. I think he had addiction issues, right? I believe that he did a lot of drugs and alcohol. And so I just think all of that really added up to somebody who continued to operate on patients despite the fact that he was hurting them. He didn't care. I felt like the patients needed somebody to stand up for them. You can't ever forget their stories. They haunt you. I don't think that you can investigate a case like this and not become a little bit emotionally invested because you become tied to the patients. And they're relying on you to bring them justice. And they finally won. They finally got their justice.
I don't think that there's ever really been a time that we've sat down and talked about it. He just said, I didn't do those things, not what they say I am. He's almost unrecognizable. It's hard to believe that is the same man. Maybe he didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't know how to say, I messed up, or it was an accident. It's just that knowing Chris personally, I don't feel like he was a murderer. I don't know what he deserves. Yeah, I get every action has a consequence, but maybe not life in prison. Life is a long time. And when we go to visit Chris, it's very emotional. My son knows that, it's actual prison. And if you do bad, then that's where you go.
He wants to go today. And when I say I can't stay, but I promise you very soon, he's like, you're in jail. And then he starts telling me I'm never going to get out. It's so sad.
I know he feels sorry. I know he's regretful. I know he's sorrowful. But we can't change anything. So it hurts. It breaks my heart that this is what it came to. This is the reality. That's what's heartbreaking. And no matter how bad you wish you could change the past, you cannot.
I'm permanently disabled. My two oldest daughters had children, and I couldn't pick up and hold my grandchildren in my arms. The grandson is the 9-year-old, and he's just like, Papa, can you throw the football with me out in the backyard? There was anger. There was severe anger. And it gave me bad thoughts and stuff. For some reason, it dawned on me, Jeff, You're holding in this anger and hatred. All you're doing is hurting yourself. I was finally like, he's where he belongs, Jeff. Let it go. No, I forgive Dunch. And I try to forget about him because, I mean, granted, every day I'm reminded of him, but you'd be surprised how little I think of him anymore. Hardly ever.